Okay, welcome everybody to the Center for Sustainable Innovation. Okay, thank you very much for coming here today. We have a new workshop today about the AI for cybersecurity. This is part of the program that we are running called AICyberNexus, that's funded by the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation. And we are exploring this critical area between intersection between AI and cybersecurity. How can we use AI for cybersecurity tools, and at the same time, how can we make our AI system more secure? We are focused on working with companies and academics, helping them to understand this specific area. Today we have with us Hamed Soliman. Thank you very much for coming today. He's our guest speaker. He's going to talk about how can we empower SMEs to stay secure in this digital area. Hamed is the principal cybersecurity solutions architect at Ingram Micro. He's a network security solution architect with over 20 years of experience, working in the designing, deploying, managing, and cutting-edge technologies. He has been working on LAN, WAN, wireless, data center, cloud computing, voice, security solutions. I've done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And he has been involved in every single stage of the network and security infrastructure, from pre-sales and design to deployment, support, and also the maintenance of the solutions. He has a lot of knowledge on these new technologies that are coming, and he always helping with companies to make sure that they are secure and they have the latest technology to be ahead in this digital age. So, thank you very much, Hamed.
Thank you.
For you.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Hamed Soliman, as you can see. I've been doing this for a long time. So I've been in this industry for more than, I think, hitting 25 years right now. I started in the operations, which means I used to do the actual work with my own hands. And then you evolved. I started with network security because I always had the impression that to start properly in security, you have to start with the networking system in order to understand down and up. But as it evolves right now, it's a bit different because with the introduction of the term cyber, because back in the old days it used to be called network security, but now it's cyber security because it includes a lot of other things, not only network. So you're talking about applications, policies and procedures, systems, servers, infrastructure, whatever you can name it. So now the term cyber arises. In today's agenda, we're going to be talking about, this is the agenda I've put for today, to be honest with you, and I think I was trying to, as much as possible, give you the information you need without being too much boring, if that makes sense. But AI is a new world, and there is a lot of information on it, and to ingest that into cybersecurity, it's a bit challenging. But although it is challenging, it is really, really good because it should enrich and enhance how cybersecurity works, specifically when it comes to dealing and managing large volumes of data, which is what you need to do something called threat intelligence, which I'm going to explain as we go. So we're going to do a bit of introduction about what is AI, how did it start, just a glimpse about it, and then we're going to talk about how AI-driven cybersecurity solutions can actually influence and work, because AI in cybersecurity is not something on paper right now. It's already in act. It's already in play. There are products already in the market, resellable for end customers that actually utilize AI. But the utilization of AI is a bit in the beginning, but it does a very good job in the beginning, especially with companies that falls under your category, which is small to medium businesses, because sometimes those businesses doesn't have the skills or expertise. They don't have people that can actually understand cybersecurity from one side and be able to ingest AI into that cybersecurity. So that's why AI can do the job on its own. It can actually do some of the daily tasks, or daily routines, or analyzing or analytics of data, which humans might struggle to do at some point, which saves time, good for your, good from an investment point of view, from a return on investment point of view, and many things, which again we're going to touch as we go. We're going to talk about the implementation of AI in companies in general. SMEs is one of those, but I think whatever we're going to talk about today applies to anything. We're going to talk about the challenges in AI adoption, because keep in mind that AI is an automated system. But it's not just an automated system, it's an automated system which is processing large volumes of data to build or to come up with decisions that should help you do your job. So if you are ingesting that system with wrong or misleading data, this will mislead or will result in misleading decision making as well, and wrong strategy as well. So that's why you need to keep that in mind if you are adapting AI. And I'm not talking about cyber, I'm talking about in general. So that's one of the things you need to keep in mind as well. And then I have chosen a couple of studies, case studies from the real world. I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 of them, but there are 7 on the slides, and I'm going to be sharing the slides so you can go through them on your own time. But I just want to touch base and show you how does it work. And then we're going to talk about the future trends. So, from an introduction point of view, there is a quote which I found while I was doing this presentation, which is, because AI is a system that is actually processing and analyzes large volumes of data, which some of this data you won't have control over, because keep in mind that all the AI engines you hear about back in the day, like ChatGPT, DeepSeek, etc., they just have access to this data. And when we give them access to those resources. Where are those resources located? What are the type of contents on those resources? And that's it. But they actually step in and they go through those resources and they come up with decisions. So we are genuinely going through a data literacy, because we don't know what's inside this data. We don't know what's inside those resources. If you build your own AI engine, for example, and you are feeding that AI engine with data which you don't know where the data came from, if it's sanitized or not, if it's verified or not, this means that the resulting outcomes will be under that effect. You don't know if the results are correct or not. And this is something you need to keep in mind as we go, because we're going to explain how this is actually affecting as an AI in cybersecurity. Because if you think about it, as a company, from an industry point of view, let's think that you are buying a firewall, and this firewall depends on an AI. So, do you actually want your firewall to disrupt your business? Do you want your firewall to take a decision to shut down a connection or close a business unit just because a wrong data have been ingested into the AI engine that is feeding that firewall? That's one of the things you need to keep in mind, and that's one of the things big companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Fortinet, Palo Alto, whatever you want to name it, which are the leading players in the market, when they are adapting AI, they are taking it really, really slow. But again, as they are taking it slow, it's actually in play, and they have actually deployed systems which users can now log into, and instead of configuring policies and procedures and stuff like that, you can just tell the AI, go look here and go look there, and this is the log for the firewall. Can you tell me what the policy should look like? So you can imagine how much time this is saving, right? So, from a definition of what is AI, this is what AI should look like. An engine which is processing or analyzing large volumes of data, regardless of what that data is, and it should come up with the difference between AI, because if some of you come across what we call used to be machine learning, which used to be, I think, a ground for AI, because machine learning, we used to ingest the data for the machine learning, but we are expecting some decisions. But the AI is different, because the AI is going to add its own perception, because we have actually ingested the solution with a human thinking ways that he can think from our perspective. Because one of the things you need to understand or address in cybersecurity, a term called behavioral analytics, which is basically if us as a group of users sitting on that room utilizing our wireless connection, and some of us are downloading, some of us are streaming videos, some of us are doing whatever activities on the internet, I need to have a solution that can actually look into this behavior of you and actually determine if someone of you is actually downloading a file to broadcast or take that network down, in simple terms. If as a human being, for me, I have to log into the firewall, I have to look the firewall at the box, and I have to check the logs of that box, and then I have to, I found this entry, I don't know what that entry is, I need to go to the documentation, I need to go to the internet to search about what this hash or pattern means. AI will take all that burden from his shoulders, because AI have access to that already. So he doesn't need to do that search. Once he sees that pattern, yeah, I know this pattern related to that attack, block that user connection. So if this guy is downloading something, I'm just going to block your wireless access, and I'm going to report to someone that I can see that this IP address with this laptop with this username is doing this. And this is how you can, this is why you should think, or how you should think about AI. But the critical or tricky part when it comes to AI is the ingestion of the human-like algorithms we ingest into the AI, because as we are humans, we are biased unconsciously, right? So if I'm giving you some piece of information of something that, or that piece of data I'm giving you to analyze is on its own biased to something, so your decision is going to be biased as well. You need to verify the data you are ingesting to any AI engine you are building, and I think there are libraries right now which you can go to different locations on the internet to verify the data which you're going to be ingesting to your AI. So DeepSeek, for example, are using different libraries than the ones that ChatGPT does. Because keep in mind that all those AI engines are built on systems that might be biased from a political point of view, from a commercial point of view, from a business point of view. So you need to be as standalone as possible, non-biased as possible, which is a bit tricky, but it's happening. This falls under the same, what we used to call, it started as machine learning, but now because it's analyzing what we call large language models, which huge amounts of data we are giving to the AI, and we're asking to AI to analyze this data and think like a human. I'm not sure if some of you have come across that from a study point of view, because artificial intelligence used to be part of the courses which we studied in engineering, and it's actually about feeding whatever engine or robot you're building with every single possibility of a decision. And that's why he is basing that decision from a perspective of a human being. So if you think about applying that concept on a firewall device or a system which is monitoring users' behavior. So for example, there are solutions in the market right now which we call DNS protection, which is basically a different naming of what we call content filtering, which is basically monitoring users' behavior as they are sitting on their organization. So if you're sitting on your desk right now, you're browsing, you're opening your Facebook, you're opening your email, you're downloading files, you're listening to songs, etc., etc. I need to have control over that, especially if I am an organization needs to make sure that those people are focused on their work. They don't have time for Facebook, they don't have time to download, they don't have time to listen to music. I need to be able to control that. How can I control that if I don't know what they're doing? So I need to install a system that can somehow monitor what they are doing and feed that into an engine that can actually tell me that based on this data, I've seen that this group of people, productivity is actually much less because 15% of them are using Facebook, 20% of them are using this, 10% of them are using this, and based on these figures, I can actually mandate a policy. I can actually tell the firewall right now, as we speak, this is actually in play right now, that based on these findings, create a policy for me that will minimize the time they spend on Facebook by 5% and increase the productivity by 20%. How can I do that? I can actually tell the firewall, so the firewall can tell me this, what the policy should look like. You should block this. You should allow this, but for a certain time, between that time and that time. I know that the launch time on this. So it's really, really speaky and spooky or freaky at some time, but it's actually happening. This is actually, what I'm telling you now is actually a product in the market that's resellable for users. But that product will depend on large amounts of data, and this data can be your firewall log. So you need to make sure that when you are configuring that log on that firewall, for example, or when you are buying a box, it's a smart box when it handles the logs. And sometimes, I'm not sure how much of you are technical and how much of you are non-technical, but usually when you buy a product from the market, you usually buy that product to close specific gaps. You don't just go and say that I'm going to buy a firewall, or I'm going to buy an intrusion prevention system, or I'm going to buy a DNS protection solution. You probably have a problem and you need to address that problem. So when you do that, you create a criteria or a matrix of what you need to close, and based on that you go and buy that product. When you buy that product and you think about, should I include AI in that? Should I keep AI as part of my as part of my evaluation criteria for the product? When you do that, you need to make sure that the product AI engine is really reliable, flexible, can scale with you, and can take the right decisions. Because if you depend on that, and the majority of the systems right now do that, in something we call orchestration, which hopefully I'm going to be explained later. You can actually, at some point, you can just sit and let those boxes do everything and take those decisions based on your behalf. Keep in mind that the applicability of AI in cybersecurity is a bit, it's in the beginning, and because the majority of the company and in the real world, they are a bit conscious about letting AI in everything, because this might lead to some unwanted decisions, if you want to put it that way. But there are few major fields in cybersecurity which AI excels, and the majority of the companies right now are utilizing the AI on that part. Some of those are what we call threat intelligence, which is basically any security box or any security solution needs to know about the attacks running on the world. You're not going to do that manually. So the majority of the companies in the world, they have what we call threat intelligence engine, which is like a big database of all the security threats running on the market right now. And those boxes are checking against this database to know the latest and greatest trends on the cybersecurity, etc., etc. So that's one. And also you have the threat analytics, which is basically large organizations like here or any other big companies, they do something called SOC, which is Security Operations Center, which is basically a center with a set of tools to monitor everything. And based on that monitor, we will take decisions, strategic decisions, business decisions, technical decisions. These monitoring tools monitor and analyze a large amount of data. That's why AI steps into the picture as well, because AI, instead of getting like 15 analysts to do that job, I can get one system that actually look into this data and at least gives me what's important, what I need to look at. And instead of me as an analyst looking to tons of data, I can just go to the system can tell me go check there, go check there, go check there. And you have the real-time monitoring, which falls under the same criteria, which is basically monitoring those systems as they go and analyzing the outcomes of those systems. So the firewall is sitting here, the security camera, which you can see here, some of the AI engines right now, can actually analyze what's happening based on the pattern of the users moving inside the camera, or objects, or multiple things. So you have motion sensors now can based on AI, space designing. The product in Cisco called Cisco Spaces, which actually utilizes AI to design space. So you don't need to get someone like to, I'm going to put a table here, I'm going to put some desks there. No, you can actually put a camera here in the corner, and a camera here, and it's going to landscape everything and give you the design. So that can give you an idea about AI, what AI can achieve for you. But when it comes to cyber, it's about analyzing data. And when it comes to analyzing data, it's really critical, and you need it really important to keep that in mind, because if you ingest something wrong, you're going to get the wrong decisions. Some of the aspects when it comes to applying cybersecurity, as I was just explaining on the previous slide, also covers what we called rapid containment, which is basically if an attack happens, what will we do? So, for example, if any IT personnel, as we speak right now, you can see that your laptop is not working and I'm not able to access my portal or my website or anything I'm using here to do my own job. What does this mean? Two things: either the system's down for any technical issue, or you are under attack. If you are under attack, if the system's down, you could just pick up the phone and tell the guy who's responsible about it that, yeah, I'm not able to access that system. He's going to check, is it accessible? If he can access it, then it's just you. Maybe it's your laptop, maybe it's your PC, your connection. If no one is able to access it and the entire resources of the university is down, this means that we are under attack. What should we do if we are under attack? If you come across the cybersecurity world before, there is a lot of comics used to run that if you are under attack, go to the data center and unplug all the cables. This used to be an actual defense mechanism back in the old days, is to actually go to the data center and unplug everything, right? But if you do that, your business is disrupted. Your website is not accessible. Your revenue is degraded, because I used to work on Vodafone, and sometimes because those large companies, they are under attack all the time. So when they are under attack and the system is really slow, no one is able to pay their bills, so they are losing money, they are genuinely losing money. If you tell them, should I unplug everything? No, don't. My reputation is on the stake. I'd rather be accessible but slow, but not accessible at all. Because what will happen is EE is going to come up next day and say, oh, see, Vodafone is not available. So cybersecurity affects your reputation. So you need to keep that in mind when you're actually taking the decision. One of the things which actually help to doing that is what we call rapid containment. Rapid containment means in case of those types of attacks, the AI system can actually step in, but not while the attack is happening. It's actually before, which is what we call retrospective. We can actually go back in time. They can actually analyze based on that pattern of traffic on that system. This system is probably prone to get attacked. So I need to do something. I need to inform an admin. I need to shut down the system, the connection which is trying to access that system. But this is what we call rapid containment, which is basically looking on the context of the cybersecurity tools and systems we have and take decisions based on that. One of the things also falls under rapid containment, which is called email protection. I'm sure the majority of you heard about email phishing. The problem with email phishing, which again AI can detect, is that this type of attacks, which is what we call email phishing, some of the attacks like social engineering, like I can strike conversation with any one of you. Hi, how are you? My name, your name. You're based here, I'm based there, you're in Manchester, I live here, you live there, your birthday. Based on this information, I can actually extract some of the information which can help me through a tool to predict your passwords. I'm not sure if you noticed about credit cards, right? For example, back in the old days, the credit card numbers used to have, the number used to be on the front of the card. Now, if you look, or if you focus, or if you notice, the new card, they don't have anything on top. It's on one side only, right? You know why? Because this is what we call social engineering. Social engineering, as email phishing, depends on the awareness of the users, which means that, and as in the world of cybersecurity, the most weak link is the human being, because you can manipulate him. He can always forget, you can always play him, he can always doesn't see what's happening. Usually people are driven by what's important to them, so if I send you an email telling you that your salary increased in this document, click on it to know. I'm telling you that based on experience, because we used to do some sort of awareness sessions. If you send this to not technical people, maybe like yourself, but if you send this to some people in the HR and in the finance and in the marketing team, 20 out of 10 will open that email and look into that document because they think that there is an actual salary increase. Once you click on that document and you open it, I've actually ingested a file or a script which can collect information. And here AI can step in. AI can actually integrate with your email security solution, and you can actually detect the email. Yeah, that email doesn't look good. No one is actually going to send this type of email. And the AI system is also integrated with what we call threat intelligence, which is a big database that contains all the threats and what the attackers are doing in order to manipulate you guys as users. So AI can step in here and can actually flag that email, either block this email from coming into your inbox in the first place, or even if the email somehow evaded the AI and everything and got into your email when you click on that link or when you click on that file, the AI can tell the laptop, the endpoint protection on the laptop, no, this is fishy, so contaminate or quarantine that file or take an action, etc., etc. So one of the major problems, which is the major reason of cybersecurity attacks happening in any companies of the world, which is email attacks, which is email phishing, can be 100% solved by AI. Not 100%, nothing is safe for 100%, 95% solved by AI. So the majority of AI solutions in the of email phishing solutions in the market right now are AI dependent. Because now, back in the old days, I need to depend on you guys to understand, to have the concept. Don't open any email, don't look into anything. When you take out your credit card, please be careful, don't show it to everyone. This kind of stuff would depend on the users. I can actually mitigate. I don't need now to depend on you guys to take these actions. Now, again, from a technology perspective, you know that as a company, or the majority of the companies in the market right now, they are exploring multiple technologies. Some of the companies, specifically small companies, SMEs, are going into the cloud because they don't want to invest into infrastructure. They don't have the expertise to get someone to actually invest into the infrastructure. They want to hire someone to manage something which is really small, and you know that someone else can do on your behalf. That's why the majority of companies are moving into the cloud. If you are moving into the cloud, means that you are moving, or you are putting your business, your data, your assets into the hands of someone else, which you don't know if its systems are secured enough. You don't know if those systems are actually will deliver the business outcome you're looking for, but from other perspective is really secure, because you want to make sure that your data is not compromised. And keep in mind that the cloud resources are shared. So when you are going to Amazon Web Services, Amazon is reserving you a tenant, or reserving you a piece of resource that you can put your systems on to get your business up and running. But this piece, along with some other pieces for some other companies, are being served by the same resources on those servers. So I want to make sure that this resource is not going to contradict. They are secure enough. And here comes the efficiency of AI. Because when you implement AI in those solutions, AI can actually predict if there is something happening based on the data analytics from the logs or the volumes of data it's actually assessing and looking into before giving you the facility, or before you take the decision of, yes, I'm going to go to the cloud. Because keep in mind that the majority, or if you notice that the majority of the solutions right now are cloud hosted. If you go to companies like Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Microsoft, the majority of the solutions, Office 365, which is the most widely used email system on the planet, is cloud-based, right? You don't actually install the systems on your prem, not anymore. So you want to make sure that if you got a firewall, or if you're going to buy a solution to secure those systems, to have that email phishing attacks, which we just talked about on the previous slide, it's going to be sufficient enough. It's going to be flexible enough. It's going to scale. As your deployment scale, the system will be able to scale. As your deployment becomes big, if you are an SME now and you become a large-scale deployment or a large-scale company later on, the same system can process the same data. It doesn't matter the size of the company, because as a system, I'm actually designed to do that. So this is something you need to keep in mind. If you are designing a solution, if a company is asking you, I'm going to move to the cloud right now, what am I supposed to do? How can I secure my deployments? Can I utilize AI? Yes, you can. Of course you can. And even if you cannot deploy it, even if you cannot utilize AI, you can utilize solutions depend on the AI, because building an AI engine to be able to help you to do that, it's going to be a bit of a, it's not something easy that you can do on a daily basis, but you can choose solutions on the market, which I'm going to show you in the next few slides, that actually dependent on AI, because if you choose solutions dependent on AI, it will save your time, especially if it's an SME. You don't want to invest much in people, or you want to invest less in people, and you want system to do this job for you. But you are as well moving to the cloud, because you are taking everything to the cloud. You are moving to Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, etc., whatever you can name it. So you need to make sure that the solution you will be suggesting to your customers or buying is actually a cloud-enabled solution with AI embedded in. Keep that in mind. There's something called anomaly detection, which is one of the things dependent on AI as well, which is basically detecting malicious acts or anomaly behavior based on the analytics of traffic. And this, again, if you think about it, means that AI have actually left the cybersecurity virtual tier and jumped into the network virtual tier, right? Because usually we detect if there are specific types of attacks, if our network behavior is changing in a way, which we call network behavior analytics engines or products. So, which are products you install into your network, and if person X have been sitting on a, I don't know, on a coffee shop or something, or he moved a file from somewhere to his laptop and that file was infected in a way, once that file lands in your laptop, this file has an embedded script which is going to start running to do something. That thing can be collecting information and then sending it outside, can be just broadcasting into the network, because some people Not all attackers, by the way, want to take everything down. No, this is not their job. The main job is to steal information without you knowing that the information has been stolen, right? So what usually happens is when you download a file which you don't know about, usually those files start collecting information. Once those files start sending those information outside, here the AI can step in, or any systems basically. But the difference is, AI, if you install it on your endpoint protection solution, for example, would immediately be detected once the file is on your machine. Maybe the endpoint protection solution will detect that file automatically and will tell someone that this file is malicious. But what if AI can actually do an extra layer? Before this file is downloaded, or once this guy have actually hooked his laptop into the university network, something can kick in, scan that machine because it wasn't connected and now it's connected, and then tell you something. It can be a prompt on your product, which can be an endpoint protection, can be a firewall, whatever. But that's really important to keep in mind because, again, when you are evaluating a solution or when you're buying a solution, if that solution comes with an AI, what we call AI policy engine, that's going to really make your job much easier. One of the major struggles we as people trying to design security solutions is to understand what the customer wants and how the environment of the customer behaves before we suggest. Because when you say that I want to buy a firewall, it's just not about buying a firewall. You need to do a capacity planning. How many users are sitting there? What is the behavior of those users? What gaps you need to close? How much budget you need to invest? There is a lot of things in place. So you might go and say, yeah, I'm just going to buy, I don't know, X firewall, which can be a couple of £100. Yeah, this will do the basic firewalling job. And from your perspective, yeah, I'm protected, but no, you're not protected because the database this firewall depends on to take decisions is not probably much. And when the majority of the small companies in the market right now, they don't utilize AI because they don't have money to invest. Big companies like Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Checkpoint, Microsoft, you name it, they all have now divisions specifically there to put AI or integrate AI into their systems because they know that AI is the future and it's going to spare them the burden of analyzing data. There is something called, I'm not sure if you heard about it before, there's something called sandboxing, which is basically if companies or if products or if there's a new threat in the market, we need to know what this threat will do. It's a new file, but I don't know what this file, if it got into a laptop, what the behavior will be. So companies designed what we call sandboxing, which is like a lab environment that you actually detonate those files in. So you go to those environments or labs, you have laptops specifically designed for that, and you run those files and you don't do anything, you just monitor what's happening. And based on this monitor, you ingest this data. What can happen now is that AI can do this job, and AI can monitor, and AI can analyze the data, so AI can actually understand the behavior and can actually tell you. I'm not sure if you heard about that. There used to be, I'm sure you heard about the term of ransomware. There used to be something called Loki ransomware, which was one of the earliest ransomware attacks happened on the market. It was what we call zero-day attack, which is the attack. Zero-day means that it's an attack no one knows about. It's just newly introduced into the field of cybersecurity or into the market, and there is no defense against it because it's zero-day. This is zero-day means that this is patient zero. This is the first time we come across that attack. At that time, one of the companies used to use a threat intelligence engine called Talos, which is basically Cisco. But Talos at that time was dependent on machine learning, not AI. All what Talos did is that it analyzes the IP address ranges which this attack is coming from. So in simple words, they know that this attack is coming from, I don't know, let's say that block of buildings. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to block that entire building. Any connection coming from that building, I'm just going to block it till I see what's going to happen in the future. And then this actually prevented all customers at that time utilizing that solution who actually tell that threat intelligence engine or tell us that the attack is coming from that bucket with the machine learning engine at that time. So it's actually beneficial. It can actually make a difference. The problem might be on how you can tweak or how you can ingest this data. Why AI cybersecurity might be important or is important? Enhanced threat detection, which is the combination of whatever I've just told you right now. detecting a threat. Again, I know that, or I don't know, maybe the majority of you maybe are non-technical people, but there are like fingerprints, patterns, which when we see on a firewall log or a network box log, we know that this is an attack. This pattern or fingerprint is not something we as humans can detect because it contains file names, what we call file hash. Hash is like, it's like a fingerprint. Every single file in the world has a hash, which is like a fingerprint of that file. From that hash you can get all the information you need about what's inside that file. Is it text? Is it image? Not the content of the file. What the content of the file is, no, you don't know that, but you know if it's an image, if it's a text, if it's any file type, if it's an ASCII. So when you utilize AIs can actually memorize those hashes, genuinely memorize them. It's a machine, right? So instead of you going through this firewall logs, I know that this is SMEs, but I want to tell you that sometimes the firewall log, which I used to look at, used to be 6 gig. Can you imagine a text file which is 6 gig in size? When I used to open it, it used to take me like 10 minutes to open the file. Then the file opens, 10 minutes. And I want to tell you that there were millions and millions of lines. So for example, for me, in order to search about specific IP address which I've seen on the firewall log, I have to Control F and then put the IP address and wait for the file to respond to me and give me access. So imagine that you have someone that, what is the IP address is doing this? Yeah, it's that. It's on this connection, which is connected to that switch, which is connected to that switch port. Block it. Done. It's as simple as that. Some of the solutions in the market right now depends on something called orchestration, which is basically you can configure a policy that mandates that in the middle of the night where no one is there, no one is actually monitoring anything, if you saw that hash on the firewall coming to that laptop on that port, shut down that switch port. Right? This is going to happen without you interacting at all. It's you just told the systems which integrates with each other that do this and this and this, which will happen. Proactive security posture, which is basically, I'm not sure about security posture. Do you understand the concept of security posture? Security posture is understanding the state of you as a human with the devices you carry, whether those devices are your phone, your laptop. So I can actually design systems based on AI that I can actually, before you connect to the network and give you access to your portal, when you do your job, I'm actually going to look into your laptop or your phone. Is your phone an iOS or an Android device? It's an iOS. Is it jailbreaked? No, you're not going to get access. If it's not jailbreaked, does it have the same iOS level? Does it have the same latest security patches, which means that you update your iPhone regularly? Yeah, I'm going to look into that. If it doesn't meet the criteria which you will mandate on the policy, which again the AI can do for you, access is not going to be provided. So you're protecting your system. The same applies to your laptop, to any device you are utilizing. Keep in mind that the majority of the companies right now bringing what we call BYOD, bring your own device. So now you can do your job. So now if you are working on a company, you have your own laptop. But this laptop you are utilizing for your personal stuff as well, your search, your LinkedIn profile, whatever you want to name it, right? As you do that, you might actually download some files or visit some websites, which as a company, I don't want you to do from my laptop, right? I need to have control over that, which is what we call visibility. AI can do that, which is proactive security posture. Automation of repetitive tasks, this is something you know about. Any human tasks that requires a lot of time to be done, requires a lot of analytics and looking into tons of data, which is boring and no one is going to actually extract anything out of it, you can just gift it to the AI and it can do it literally in seconds. Minutes, not in seconds, or not in seconds. Improved incident response. Incident response is a term we use when we are under attack and we are responding to that attack. That attack we call an incident. So an incident response is what we are doing to mitigate that attack. As a human, as I mentioned back in the old time, some people used to run down to the data center, unplug cables, because sometimes you cannot even access the system to troubleshoot. What AI can do is that it can actually do that because AI will already have access to these logs and he already analyzed those logs. So you can actually log into that AI system, and AI system will tell you that the problem is there. And instead of unplugging everything, I'm just putting this for you in simple words. And instead of unplugging everything, just go there and unplug that server. That will solve the problem. Or the attack is there. So you have minimized the time you need to address that incident. Adaptive security measure, this is from governance and policies and procedures point of view. You can actually use AI to build scalable, smart policies which will affect your users. Because keep in mind that any policy or governance procedure you put is for your users, your systems, your data privacy. There's multiple aspects touched by that. So AI can actually help you to do that. AI can actually build this for you. If you go as of now to ChatGPT or DeepSeek, you can tell them that, can you give me a 10 documents security policy, includes email security policy, password security policy, building access security policy, which we call physical security. It will immediately generate that in whatever format you want, in a document, in a PowerPoint present, as we speak. So imagine if you want to tweak that policy based on your business needs and requirements. You can actually, again, as of now, you can build like a matrix of what you are expecting from a security policy. And if you go to ChatGPT as we know, ChatGPT, I have this company which is in this industry. This is my company size. This is the number of users I have. This is the systems I have. Can you come up with this? Can you come up with a security policy that can actually mandate what should I do? Mm-hmm. It will do. You can actually take that policy, tweak it a little bit to work with your organization. But this, how AI will help. Imagine if you're doing this from data derived from your organization or system, etc., etc. Cost efficiency, of course, because you're saving people, and also it will help you to take better decisions when it comes to which systems you should adopt, which systems you should buy. Again, as of now, if you go and ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek that I'm facing this type of issue, which is I'm thinking it might be a cybersecurity issue, what system you should think I should be buying? It will tell you. You should actually, this type of attack is this and this and this and this and this. And in order to mitigate that attack, you need to buy a firewall. You need to buy an endpoint protection solution. You need to buy an email protection solution. You need an email phishing awareness training for your team. That's why if you have AI in the systems which is already in your place, you don't need to do that. AI will do that for you. And again, there are systems in the market as we speak that actually can deliver that, can tweak your policies, can help you. I'm not sure if you know, probably you know that any company in the UK right now, in order to be able to work in the market, they need to be GDPR compliant. AI can actually help you to maintain your GDPR state. As of now, it actually will tell you that you have a gap here, you need to close. If the audit came, you will fail because this gap is not closed, so you have to go and close that. What does it? There is actually, I can actually send you that later. There is a company, as you know, as of now, that actually gives you like 27 questions. I think I used to do that at some point, where if you answer those questions, it will tell you your state of GDPR as of now and what you need to do to take an action to meet the GDPR requirements. So this is something, again, you need to keep in mind when you are utilizing AI. When it comes to scalability, I don't think we even need to talk about it because AI is a system. It's an analytic system, so it will scale with you as you grow big or as you shrink small. There is no problem with that. You can utilize any AI system you can think of from a scalability perspective. For example, if it's a policy engine on a firewall, you can actually tell the policy engine that I'm increasing the number of users, there are this many connections sitting there. I want to allow this, I want to block this. Please, can you give me an iteration or a draft of what the policy should look like? It will be generated. This is how scalability can be and how the system is really, really flexible when it comes to helping you take those decisions or make it easy for you to compare. When it comes to AI-driven systems, some of it falls under what we have just talked about. There is maybe a couple of points I want to add. One of them is risk prioritization. So part of what you do in a company, specifically under the information security part, is to assess your risks. And I'm not talking only about cybersecurity risk, I'm talking about business risk, right? If any one of you come across study business or come across a certificate called project management professional or Prince 2, whatever, there is a risk module. This risk module has nothing to do with security. It's a business risk. So when it comes to risk, there are specific actions which you need to do in order to mitigate that risk or carry that risk with someone else or transfer risk or accept that risk because you know that this risk is going to happen anyway. I can accept it, but I can
Minimize it.
yeah, minimize it or keep it contained, contained, yeah, right? So when it comes to the cyber world, if you have a system which is monitoring what's happening on the university as of now, people are doing this, someone is downloading a file, someone is doing this, the system can actually build a risk, what we call a risk matrix, which you have those 10 or 20 risks, and I can actually tell you which one of those risks you need to look at now, and which one of those risks you can leave for later, or you can even ignore, because it's not affecting your business. In our world, there is something called penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. I'm not sure if you heard that term before, which is basically, as a university, you can hire someone like me to come here and try to hack the systems, in simple terms, right? And I'm gonna tell you, based on specific tools I'm going to be using, that this system is compromised, this system needs patching, this system needs a better security policy on your firewall, this system needs this system needs that. Those are risks or vulnerabilities which you need to turn into risks, which you need to address those risks. Now AI can actually do that for you. AI, pen testing AI, like there's a company called Qualys, where you can actually get a box, install it into your network, and tell that box, pen test my network or hack my network and tell me what can I do right now. So this system can actually extract information and can tell you, yeah, you have those risks right now. This is priority 1, or this is high risk, this is medium risk, this is low risk. That high risk can be closed by a firewall. Doesn't have to be a specific brand, but you know that you need a firewall. That risk can be protected or closed by training your users, etc., etc. So this is risk prioritization and what we call advanced pattern recognition. This is maybe not applied in the SMEs, it's more applied on the large-scale deployments, because in large-scale deployments, your firewall log is practical example. For example, I used to handle the box which is responsible for your internet connection on your phone, which is 3G or 4G. So that box used to have, one of the boxes used to have 5 million subscribers, which means that 5 million users are utilizing that box to access the internet, right? So you can imagine the number of logs on that file, or the number of logs on that box, right? That box used to do a specific job, which is just when you pick up your phone, enable your 4G, you hook up to the tower, you get an IP address, the tower will actually build a connection between your phone and the internet, right? Now, if you pick up the phone and call the call center, yeah, my phone is not working, my 4G is not working, what am I supposed to do? So I have to log into that box, I have to get your phone, get the IP address which you are assigned now, log into the firewall log. There's a lot of troubleshooting steps which I used to do, right? Yeah, I can do that like this, genuinely. You can just go to the policy engine on the firewall, search for the firewall, it will extract all the logs you can see or you need to know about that firewall. And again, this is active right now. This is not something on paper or on document. Some firewalls in the market can actually do that as of now. That's a nice question. Can you replace people or not? Well, the answer you're gonna find in documents is that it's a no. It's just a tool, which I call blah blah blah, right? So as of now, no, it cannot. But you never know what's gonna happen in the future, right? Because, and to be honest, I always the answer for it all, it's in our hands. Because if you keep giving the AI systems how to act like humans, so you're answering yourself. You're asking the AI to act like you. So it's going to do a better job than you do, a faster job than you do, and a more quality job than you do. So I'm going to leave the answer for the question for you, right? But as of now, no, it's just a tool, right? And I think that there is a general perception running in the world right now that they are afraid from the AI more than they are adapting the AI, because they are thinking that the AI can, at some point, if not controllable, can get out of hand, right? I'm not sure if you heard that story before about the, I think it was Facebook or Google, I'm not sure, and they created those two AI systems to do a specific job on their quantum computing project or something. You can Google it, I don't remember. And then they discovered at some point that those two AI systems created their own language and started communicating with it without no one knowing, and they didn't know those languages. This is an actual story, by the way. So this can give you what AI can do for you, right? So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about AI. again, falling under the same points, is it beneficial to use AI for SMEs or in general? Of course it is, right? But the question is, in which areas, right? I think it's in the areas that at this stage requires either dummy work or a lot of work, right? Dummy work, which is repetitive tasks, which is the task that you need to do often. Keep in mind that SMEs might not have this amount of repetitive tasks to do, but large-scale deployments does, right? We used to have the SOC team, which is the the NOC team, which is the team monitoring only our network infrastructure, used to be 45 persons, right? Sitting on like, I think it was at that time 130 screens. So you can think about the amount of data they are analyzing and they are looking at, etc., etc. So if you don't have a system that can actually do that for you, AI can do that for you. So identifying pain points, doing repetitive tasks. You can actually tailor AI to do something for you. So you can actually, based on this data analytics you are getting, you can tailor AI to take specific actions, automated actions, and instead of you doing it on a daily basis, AI can do that on your behalf. Of course, scalability we have talked about. Yeah, and setting your strategies or clear objectives based on the data or the analytics the AI is going to do for the amount of data it analyzes will help you to take those decisions, or can take those decisions on your behalf. So it's going to be easier for you to do that. We talked about this already. Why AI is important? It's cost effective. It's work effective as well, because it can take a lot of tasks out of your behalf. If you are a small company, you can just get a system that can do that for you, or one admin, which is your IT admin, that can do everything, or does everything, can actually manage your cybersecurity device. So it's one of the things. It can scale really easy, so that's not a problem. And when it comes to compliance and GDPR, by the way, is based on what I'm seeing, is really, the government is really strict about that. They are really forcing all companies to be GDPR compliant. And we're talking about small businesses as well. If we're talking about large businesses, or even if you are a small business working with NHS, for example, it's not only GDPR. You need to be something called HIPAA compliant, which is the compliance for healthcare industry. So I can help you to achieve that as well. This is some of the actual products in the market as of now that actually utilizes AI, right? So you have Sentinel-1, which is a Microsoft product that does what we call advanced threat, which is XDR, which is extended detection and response, which is basically a tool that looks at everything and tells you what's happening from a security perspective. So this is one of the products. CrowdStrike is an endpoint protection solution, which is something you deploy on your laptop to protect against specific threats. And you have Trellix, which is McAfee, but you have Cisco AI Defense, which Cisco now is generating some sort of instead of going and buying a firewall and endpoint protection, you're just going to go and buy an AI-driven solution. So you can tell Cisco that I need solution to address this problem. They will tell you this set of tools, which are going to do everything for you from an AI perspective. So to configure the policy, understanding what's happening, take action against those threats as they happen, etc., etc. You can keep those in mind. Google them if you want to understand more about the technology, how it works, etc., etc. From an implementation point of view, I think it really depends on what you want to do. I always believe that it's a case-by-case thing. It's not something that you're just going to go and say, yeah, I want to implement AI, yeah, let's do it. It doesn't work like that, right? So it will really depend on what you are trying to close, what gaps do you have. And this is usually what happens in any cyber or information security related task. What is the gap and what do we need to close it? So from an AI deployment point of view at this stage, all what you need to do or look at is to buy systems that utilizes AI to build policies, take actions, etc., etc. Which should be really easy for you. If you look at the previous slide with all those, or actually if you go and ask AI as of now, I have this problem. Can you tell me a solution in the market that utilizes AI to close this? To actually tell you. So, but just don't go and buy a firewall. You have to build a use case, and based on that, you have to take an action for it. As I mentioned before, I think AI is a culture more than it's a technology. So you need to adapt AI. You need to be able to understand AI. Are you actually utilizing AI in everything? are utilizing AI in specific domains and non-specific domains. So keep that in mind when you are building your AI. I want to say culture again, because the systems as of now is really, or it's tricky as of now to utilize AI in everything. I would think, for example, that I would utilize AI in my policy build, in how I'm adapting specific pieces of information when it comes to how I'm utilizing cybersecurity in my organization. So just keep that in mind, try to ingest that culture, talk to everyone about it, train everyone on it, etc., etc. I'm not sure if you know this, but there is what we call NIST, which is the National Institute for Security and Technology, which creates frameworks for any technology comes in the market. And they have created a framework for AI, which means that AI now is something everyone is going to adapt and everyone is going to utilize. NIST can be your background or your reference when you want to check or understand the specific technology. This is not necessarily to AI. Any technology in the market will have its own framework, how this technology works, what you need to keep this technology in place and work it out. So I encourage you to look at it, not only for AI, for anything you are thinking about, something in information security, governance, policy, information security, data privacy, everything you can think of. Again, I'm not going to stop over this. This is part of the frameworks which you need to look at if you want to understand AI. All of these frameworks will be used in the future to measure if the AI system, which is any company adopts, is actually meeting the standards or not. So just go through them. They will provide you a lot of useful information. How do you actually look into AI implementation? As I mentioned, evaluate all AI tools. Don't just buy a tool just because it has AI. You have to actually read through the paper, through the documentation, ask. You can demo, which is really, really nice. The majority of the companies right now are actually having product that you can actually demo free of charge. So any AI tool or any AI engine you can think of, you don't need to buy it. You can just go and try it as of now. The majority of the boxes I've put on the slide or I've talked about, you can try. Some of them give you 90 days trial. So I do encourage that if you are thinking about that, you can actually go and try it. Train your team. Just keep it as a culture, right? But for me, the most important thing is they evaluate the tool before you buy it and you trial it, which is the pilot project. On this slide, I'm just going to stop on one thing which I've elaborated on in the beginning, is that just be careful of the amount of data you ingest into the AI, because if the data is wrong, the decisions will be wrong, or the outcomes will be wrong. So you need to keep that in mind. That's why we call it trustworthy. The majority of the systems the big companies are utilizing, depending on the data provided by those big companies, they don't give them access like ChatGPT or DeepSeek to everything on the internet. That's why when you buy a system, you can actually go to the NIST framework to understand it, or you can even ask or check on the internet, read the documentation, it will tell you. And again, trying it is much better than just reading about it. Well, for this slide, as I mentioned, before you adopt or think about an AI system, dark side is maybe a big word, but you have just to make sure that some attackers are now utilizing ChatGPT to build threats and build viruses, so you can imagine, right? But on the same time, companies are actually trying to mitigate that or act against that by building other systems, sandboxing solutions, threats, etc., etc. That's why the majority of the AI tools in the market right now, utilized by the big companies, are at risk, because we can actually get those databases as attackers and we can actually work them around. That's why the majority of the companies right now are not trying to ingest more algorithms about how AI can think as a humans, because if they do that, it's actually a big issue. But till now, and based on someone on the industry, the majority of the attacks you see on the market right now are not coming from an AI system. They are coming from humans actually designing attacks or malicious acts or malicious files, content domains based on human acts or human behavior, not on AI systems. Is this going to change in the future? I don't know, but my personal perception, yes, it will. If we keep giving AI tools to act like a human, it will act like a human at some point, and we can actually utilize that to build threats and attacks. What are the risks? It's because it's an early deployment or it's an early technology, so there might be false negatives, which if you feed information wrong to the AI system, it will come up with wrong decisions, as I mentioned, which we call false negatives, which mean that if this is an intrusion prevention system or system to detect intrusions happening, if this system is reading a lot of false positives and giving this to the AI, AI will tell you wrong information. So go check there, and there is nothing there, which is a waste of time, waste of resources. It's a risk. That's why the majority of the companies right now are not utilizing AI on that part. They are utilizing AI mainly in data analytics and analyzing and understanding threats, etc., etc. That's why I mentioned in the beginning that AI usage in cybersecurity does not touch every aspect. It's in early stages, so they are selecting like threat intelligence, threat analytics, data analytics, but taking actual decisions based on informed intrusion detection systems, for example, information, no, they won't do that, at least for now. It is going to change in the future? Yes, it will. But this is one of the major risks of using AI in cybersecurity, which the majority of the engines right now, that's why, for example, an engine like DeepSeek is open source, because if you read the white paper about it, they are actually still not 100% that those algorithms can act actually like a human. So they are encouraging everyone, if you do have the skills to do that, step into DeepSeek and actually do that, because you can actually utilize DeepSeek in anything you want, not only in cybersecurity, right? So just keep that in mind before, when you are adapting an AI solution, or you are buying a firewall or a box with AI capability. Again, I've just put this, I'm not going to go through it, but this is something I think you need to keep in mind if you're utilizing or analyzing a cybersecurity, an AI or a cybersecurity solution that AI dependent. Just keep that in mind. Those questions I think you need to ask yourself depending on the company size, the business, the industry this company is running in, etc., etc. There was one question I just want to understand or want to emphasize on. Yeah, which is the security factor into decisions about whether to use machine learning, which is AI product or not. Because when you buy a firewall with an AI built engine, you're probably saying that he has this thing that can do everything for me, and I'm going to be sitting doing nothing and blah blah blah. No, this is not going to happen. This is just to give you an idea about how to take the right decision. It will help you give you the information to take the right decision, but it's not going to do everything. Anyway, go through it, and if you have any questions, you can always come back to me. We talked about AI adoption. This is really quick wins on how, if you are thinking about adopting AI solution, focus on tangible benefits. That's why buy a solution that can actually do the job. There is a lot of solutions in the market that actually can utilize AI as of now. So try those solutions. Don't just go and buy the box, right? And challenge the vendor as well. So if the vendor is saying, we cannot do that, I want to try it. Can you tell me? When you buy a solution from the market right now, you get the solution and support for a specific period of time. So you can ask all the questions you want. So I really encourage you to do that as well. If you are buying any product that is actually a cybersecurity product but AI dependent, you can get it, try it, get the vendor to support it for you, get the vendor to address the use cases you are trying to close. If you have any gaps, specific problems, you can tell them, I have this problem, can this box do it? Yes, they can. Can you help me? I'm not able to configure it, so they can do this for you. So I really encourage you to do that. Teams upscaling we talked about. Strong data foundation, this is if you are ingesting, if you are utilizing this on your data analytics, so you need to make sure that the data you are ingesting into that engine is accurate as much as possible, nothing 100% accurate, but as much as possible. The change management process is actually, in large organization, you cannot do any change in the organization unless you follow a process. You informed everyone, you have a rollback procedure, what is the effect of that change on the organization, everything. When it comes to AI, you need to keep that in mind, because if AI did something wrong, you need to have the means to roll back to your previous states. Challenges to implement the bias, as I mentioned before, if you ingest the AI with information which is biased somehow, the decisions will be biased as well. If the data is not available, so you cannot depend on AI, because AI is a data-dependent engine. So if there is no data, AI will not help you, right? the legal complications of it. If you let the AI take some decisions without you analyzing those decisions when it comes to your business needs, that might lead to some legal implications. So just keep that in mind. And the cybersecurity skills gap, because the AI engine needs to think as a cybersecurity individual and to take the decision which is cybersecurity related, which is really important. That's why the information you ingest is really important as well. So, as a system, AI as a system depends on information. So as long as you give information, the results will come out based on those information. If those information are accurate, the results will be accurate, and vice versa. These are the case studies, which one of the case studies is the threat detection and protection, which is what we call the endpoint protection security, which we talked about, which is a tool you install on your laptop or device or iPhone or your mobile phone. Analyzing your log, the malware and phishing, which is basically you can actually choose what to do and what not to do for phishing solutions, etc., etc. So all these case studies or threats is really important for you to understand how the AI works, right? So this is one of them. And the Splunk, which is Splunk is a SIEM solution, which is security information and analytics engine, which now are now dependent on AI. And instead of getting huge number of analysts to do the job for me, I can just go to AI and AI can do the job for me. And you have the security operation, which is the repetitive task which we've just mentioned in the beginning. So you need to, you can actually utilize AI to do this monitoring and monitoring tools and analyzing data, etc., etc. If you search the term XDR or SOC, you can see what AI can actually help when it comes to those use cases. And you have this threat intelligence, which is basically the engine or the database all the products in the market depend on to give you the information when it comes to how to detect against those threats. PayPal, which is I'm sure you know about, is now utilizing AI to do that. So you can imagine that a company like PayPal is genuinely just not a money transfer company, it's now genuinely a bank. They have their own credit card, they have their own banking like business. So if a company like that depends on AI, that means that it's doing the job. When it comes to what future trends depend on the AI, it's the things which we've just talked about, but maybe on a more automated kind of thing. So you can do predictive analytics, which is basically before the attack happens, you can actually predict that this attack will happen based on a specific patterns. I'm going to analyze again based on data. I can do threat hunting, which means that I can analyze those data and jump into threats as they happen, and I can start closing them. Behavior analytics, which we talked about already, I can understand the behavior of a specific group of users or network traffic, etc., before I actually take action, and I can do or take security actions based on that. And the phishing detection, which is, I think, one of the things one of the problems which the AI can solve immediately would be the phishing attacks. I'm not going to stop on this because as of now, it's still not that big a deal, if you want to put it that way. But you just need to keep in mind that if you are building your own AI engine, or if you are depending on an AI product, you need to make sure that the code you are using is secure, because sometimes when you do the integration, you utilize something called REST API, which is how you can integrate those systems together. You need to keep in mind that when you are doing this integration part, the code you are using is secure. The data you are ingesting into those systems are legitimate data. They're not data you're just getting from any source. You can control access to AI models, not to misuse it or not to let others ingest false information on it, and based on that take wrong decisions, etc., etc. And again, all falls under the which data you are ingesting into those systems. When it comes, any questions? When it comes when not to use AI in cybersecurity, that one is a tricky part, because as of now, there are already products in the market that you can actually utilize with AI in cybersecurity, firewall, endpoint protection solutions, whatever you can think of. But if you are at some point not sure about the amount of data you will ingest into those systems, don't use AI. If you are depending, if your firewall, for example, you bought to protect the university, is collecting information from your NOC operation center, which is getting information from a data source which you don't trust, don't use AI, because once you ingest this data into your AI, it will start giving you wrong decisions. You can take wrong actions which can affect your business operations, will disrupt your business, can genuinely at some cases take your business down. So you need to keep that in mind. As long as you ingest the correct data, the AI system will give you the results you are anticipating, you are expecting them to do. If you are ingesting them the wrong data, the wrong results will happen. Okay. To be honest with you, as someone in this field for a long time, I didn't anticipate or didn't expect that AI would do that, to be honest with you, right? Because from my perspective, even till now, I still believe that we need the human aspect of analyzing those data, specifically when it comes to attacks and threats, right? Because, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a type of attack called social engineering, which is I can genuinely just strike a conversation with you and extract all the information I need to extract your password, right? That's a human feeling. You're not going to be talking to an AI engine about your thoughts. This is for now. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but just keep it in mind to be, like, I don't want to say vigilant, but to be cautious or to be smart about selecting the AI system you're going to adapt, because if you choose the wrong system, this will affect you in a bad way. If you choose the wrong system and you are a large-scale deployment or a large-scale company and you are ingesting that system with the wrong data, that's a disaster, right? I've seen this in action. I've seen firewalls failing just because the amount of data on the logs when it was analyzed by an AI system was not the right logs, so it resulted for a disaster. So just be smart when you select a solution. Again, from a cybersecurity perspective, I never suggest a solution before discussing the use case. So you need to ask that question in every single time. What is the use case you are trying to get the AI to close the gap for? And based on that, you can start taking a decision or you can start suggesting a solution. That's it for me. Thank you very much. Hopefully it wasn't boring.
Thank you.